Hi, welcome to Humanities 4. I'm Professor Krichka. Welcome to Fall 2020, a little bit of a strange semester starting online, but I'm really happy that you chose to enroll in Humanities 4. I just wanted to welcome you all to our first week and talk a little bit about the structure of the work from week to week as well. So first I'm going to just talk a little bit about what we're going to talk about in class. Maybe the slides won't advance. Ooh. Oh, there we go. Great. So this semester we're thinking about the relationship between the humanities and the arts. And one way we're going to think about it is by talking about the idea of culture, right? And culture can't exist without an audience. So one of the working definitions that we're going to think about is that culture is best understood as public meaning. And for a discussion board that's due on Saturday, I'm going to have you guys think a little bit more closely about that idea, that question of audience, that question of public, the question of how culture works, and how we can see the arts as a system as well, right? That includes makers, audiences, critics, right? So this kind of triangulation of individuals that make the arts work as a system. So what we're going to think about is, who is part of that public? Who do these objects of culture address? Who do these works of art talk to? Who do they think their audiences are? Who are they including? Who are they excluding, right? And we're going to be thinking broadly about the arts. We'll be looking at visual arts, including painting, printmaking, photography. We'll be looking at architecture, film, television, as well as music, to kind of think about how the arts can offer us kind of access to moments in history, to different cultural contexts as well. And so the other thing we want to think about is that the arts do something, right? They have an impact in our lives. What is the work that the arts do? We'll be examining different kind of models for how creators and thinkers have thought about what the role of art in their particular social context is. That's going to be, these are some of the big ideas that we'll be thinking about in a variety of different case studies, spanning from early American and Mexican colonial history to closer to our own time. And we'll be thinking about the connections between the past and present, right? Because the weird thing about the arts, whether it's a painting or a film, is that they stick around, right? They last. And so we can think about what a work of art meant back in the day and what it means to us today, right? So we'll be thinking about those relationships. Okay. So the arts communicate, right? And they help us make sense of our lives. They help us develop knowledge. They shape our opinions and our attitudes about people, places, and things, nouns, right? They kind of help us shape our attitudes towards life. And so when we're thinking about works of art that we're taking a look at in our class, we'll be doing a series of kind of specific case studies in a variety of different media, as I mentioned. And so what we want to think about is what did that work of art mean when it was created? But also, what does it mean to us today in 2020? And as we'll sort of take note, especially in our first couple of case studies, is that meaning sort of develops, it changes, it shifts over time, right? And it can tell us almost as much about the time it was created as it does about how we see the world today as well, right? So it's going to be super fun for us to kind of think about, objects in the moment that they were created, and then what they kind of say or do in the present moment as well. So it should be very exciting. I'm looking forward to it, so I hope you all are as well. Okay, so how about a little bit of, oh, no, I forgot, I have one more slide. So we can think about the arts and humanities as this way that we can think about what gets recorded in public memory and what becomes part of our kind of collective imagination as well, right? So if we think about how do we understand the kind of reaches of possibility, the arts are one way that we understand what is possible as well. Not only that, but they help us kind of interact and understand how we fit into history, how we fit into contemporary culture and society. So in that way, the kind of people who become creators and become artists and tell the stories, really get a lot of power, because they are sort of in control of a narrative, the narrative that the arts express. So when we are thinking about that, we want to think about, well, who's doing the talking and who are they talking to, right? If we think about the arts as, something that communicates, as we mentioned earlier. So, the stories that artists tell become a part of history, and if the story gets told over and over again, it can become a part of a kind of myth, right, that we sort of assume just has always existed, right? So what we're going to be thinking about is kind of how aspects of the human experience are either remembered or misremembered, told and retold through the arts as well. So that's kind of our focus. That is our emphasis for the semesters, this kind of idea of, right, public meaning as manifest through the arts as well. Okay, so now we're going to get down to a discussion of kind of business and what you guys need to do during the first week of class. So week 1 is August 24th through 29th, and since I think this first week will be pretty crazy for all of us with adding and dropping and getting used to online classes and all that kind of stuff, there are 2 things that I want you guys to do in order to be able to keep your spot in the class. There's a wait list for the class, so I want to make sure that all of the people on my roster are active members. So the first thing that you need to do by Wednesday is complete the meet and greet discussion board available on our Canvas page. And then by Saturday, please complete the Art and Everyday Life discussion board, also available on Canvas. And you'll notice that our Canvas class is set up into different units, and we move chronologically forward through them. So then just a kind of preview of what a week of this class will look like. At the beginning of each week, I'm going to put up a short lecture, PowerPoint, that kind of preps you for the issues, ideas, and historical context that are going to come up in the week's readings. So starting in week 2, there will be 1 or 2 readings every week. There'll be a discussion board or a quiz associated with each of the readings that you're going to do. And so you need to complete those before our weekly Zoom meetings that are going to occur on Wednesdays at 9:30 a.m. So this is an asynchronous online class, so attendance is not mandatory, but you do need to watch the recordings of the Zoom meetings that I will post after we have them as well. So the Zoom meetings offer a chance for us to kind of get in depth and talk together. You guys can ask questions, we can engage with one another. So it's a chance for us to kind of go into greater depth about the readings, and we'll sort of set the table for some of the issues that are going to come up in the kind of end of week assignments as well. So this will either be a more substantive discussion board or a short writing assignment that's due each week on Saturday. Okay. And then we'll be looking at a couple of larger projects throughout the semester. We are not having a midterm exam. Instead, we'll be working on a few writing assignments. It's humanities, so it's probably not a surprise that we'll be doing some writing. We will be working on a larger kind of project in which you can choose to write about a pair of films. The pair of films that we are going to think about this semester are the films Get Out and Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. Or you can choose to write about this limited run podcast called Wind of Change that thinks about the role of music in the political context of the Cold War. So for each of these projects, we'll be doing quite a bit of reading in class that will help you prepare to write a kind of clear and well-informed analysis of either the 2 films or the podcast, whatever you choose. And these 2 projects are preparing you for our larger project, which is a team project where you all in your groups will propose a theme, a topic, an idea for a mini film festival or a limited run podcast series. And we'll talk a little bit more extensively about those projects as we kind of get rolling into the semester as well. Okay, so that is it. Welcome to Humanities 4. I hope everyone's doing well, and as well as can be during this kind of wild time. And yeah, so feel free to message me on Canvas if you have questions. And don't forget to do the 2 big to-dos for this week in order to keep your spot. Meet and greet discussion by Wednesday, August 26th, and then the Art and Everyday Life discussion by Saturday, August 29th. Yeah, so everybody take care, and I will see everybody next week. Okay, thanks.